That's
Man, it's great to
fantastic.
be here, buddy. It's great to be
Yeah.
here with all these awesome faces. Look at Stella there, Diane, like the Jeremiah, John Paul. I could go on for the rest of the call since we have a ton of people here. But man, uh, James McKeon, man, good to see your face. I've tried to connect with you a couple times, man. Super proud of you. Know that you made the full-time transition here. So top app count in our agency last month. So you're killing it. So, dude, you've got so much momentum. Don't mean to hijack the call here, buddy, but I'm just excited. You've got so much momentum on this team right now, Chris. You know, watching how we I think this is a great call, great title of today's call, because we saw the team actually take a little dip right before COVID, going into COVID. Everyone trying to figure out what was going on. Everyone got our processes together. Really, the leadership of this team, man, watching you, John Paul, Jeremiah really come together, support your team like none other, and just saw how you came out of it. And now coming out of it on the Thunder, and really a lot, you know, we've talked in full transparency to, we know why the dip started to happen. It wasn't because of COVID. It was because of our recruiting numbers, right? And everything great in this business, guys and girls, follows that number, how many people you're sharing this thing with. So just couldn't be more proud of you guys. I'm looking at your leaderboards here, man. You're at 88,000 for the month already. A ton of people out there killing it. I mean, already for the month, John Paul Vetter, who's an agency owner, leading an organization, leading from the front, already at 10 ads for 13,000. And you mentioned Spencer, on top of getting his master's degree, already at 22,000 for the month. 2 weeks in. If I wrote $22,000 in a month, I'm like, man, that was a good month. He's got 2 weeks in and he's already did it. So,
Right.
man, I'm just grateful to be here, Chris. I'm grateful for you. I've told you this personally quite a few times, but man, I don't know that there's anyone better at truly just like the business owner aspect. You're such a bright guy. You run your business like a business. You don't treat it like a hobby. You're organized. You're professional. You care for your people like none other, man. And I'm just grateful. Stacy and I are grateful for you and Ashley and Alexa to have you guys in our lives, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I mean, it's awesome to be in business with folks like you and Stacy. And you know, the funny thing is you know, we don't know each other coming into this business, but you know, I can truly say through this business, I've made better friends, you know, in the last 5 years than really some lifelong connections, you know, that people that I've known, and certainly more growth minded, more positive minded connections through this. So that's the exciting thing. And actually that kind of leads to my first question, because I think this is important, and we won't get into great detail because I know you've told the story a lot, but it's kind of quick synopsis. What brought you into this company, and where did you come from, for those this is their first call tuning in?
Yeah. And for those of you who are new, let me just welcome you to this team, you know, and tell you that you're in the right spot. You've got some servant leaders above you. You know, if you're on this team, it's you know, you fall under an awesome mentor who believed in you enough to bring you on. You know, you've got an agency owner, neither Jeremiah Nolan, John Paul Vetter, or Chris Menefee, that all of them combined, they work so well together to help their team. So you're in the right spot. You're with the right company. But I guess when I came in here, man, or before I came here, I went through a large chunk of my life where I was just kind of lost. We had got crushed by the housing market collapse. You know, I'll save you the details, but we found ourselves a year into our marriage, $50,000 in credit card debt, $30,000 in student loans. And I was in a rut. You know, I was just in a rut. I know just the numbers tell me that on a call this size, that there's someone on this call, probably multiple people on this call, that are buried in debt right now. And I can tell you, there's hope. There's hope. I know at times it seems hopeless, but there is hope. I mean, I remember, Chris, I was doing the bills at the time, and I wasn't doing them very well, obviously. It's hard to pay bills when you don't have enough to pay them. It's like like a big shell game. You know, you're trying to move this over here so this doesn't get turned off or this. I mean, we were behind on everything. The interest we were paying on the credit cards they just weren't going anywhere but up. But I remember one night sitting in my office, or what we would call the office at home, and I had like 7 credit card company bills spread out on the floor. And like Stacy knew we weren't rich, right? I mean, she knew we were in debt. She didn't know to the extreme it was. So I just remember being in tears, man, and just kind of, I felt like a failure, right? Since I was the one that was doing the bills, since you know, I mean, and just it was like, look, this is where we're at. I don't know what to do, you know, and it was just tough, man. For six years, you know, I went to work behind the bar, just because it's what I know. And I only saw Stacy 1.5 days a week, and I had my horse blinders on, is what I tell people, you know, like I was just going to work today because it's what I did yesterday, and living for those day and a half that I got to see Stacy. And everything
photo study. Like,
no, my team has been my ex-boyfriend.
Everything changed for me one night on the back deck talking to Stacy. And guys, I said this on the national call on Wednesday, and this principle is so key. One conversation, one book, one podcast, one conference call, one choice encounter with somebody can change your life. No question. No question. For me, a catalyst to change in my life, I was sitting on the back deck with Stacy. It was a Sunday night or Monday night. We're having a couple drinks. We're talking about all the successful people around us, people at our church that were stay-at-home moms and dads, people, you know, traveling the world on Facebook, people on the road driving fancy cars. And she just looked at me and she said, Jacob, why not us? And something about that night, that comment, it just hit me. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, why not us? There's people out there doing it. We just got to figure out what they're doing. So I say, like, nothing magical changed that day. I still had to go to work behind the bar the next day. I still had the same circumstances, except I had a different mindset. Like, whatever it was she said that night, it took me from this to this. That's it, right? It took my horse blinders off. So I went to work the next day with a mission. I made it my mission to find something that was going to get me out of the bar. So tried real estate, you know, that didn't work. Ended up meeting Larry Spoth. He was sharing this opportunity with me. It took him about 10 months to recruit me into this business. But I started back in January 13, man, just desperate. I was in debt. I was excited, like so many of us who come into this opportunity. Like you wouldn't be here unless you were excited about it, right? You wouldn't be here unless you were excited about the potential to go out and make sales or the potential to go out and build a business. I think we all come here with that level of excitement, that something new, like we're running away from something, right? We're trying to run away from a life that we're not happy with. If we were completely happy with it, we probably wouldn't be here. So I came here with that excitement, and that excitement is what helped me get through some of the tough times early on. But man, you have to back up that excitement with activity, because the longer you go without results, that excitement starts to dwindle over and over. So, and you know my story in the beginning. I mean, I wasn't good. I wasn't good in the home. I wasn't good on the phone. I wasn't good at being a business owner or a leader. I had so much work to do. I didn't make a sale my first 6 weeks in this business. For all of you new on the line, I don't want to scare you. It's not designed to do that. But I wasn't putting in the work. I wasn't putting in the dials. I was petrified of the phone. And then 4 weeks in, making no sales, 3 weeks in of making no sales, I get a call from my mentors, said, we got conference coming up in 2 weeks in Atlanta. You got to go. I was trying to convince them of why I don't need to go. You know, I told them I hadn't made a sale yet. So they told me to Jacob, you said you want to get out of bartending. We're telling you, you got to go. So once again, I mean, one small decision, like that's a fork in the road, guys and girls. That was a fork in the road in my life. I choose to either say no or I choose to go. See, success, what I've learned over the last 7.5 years, Chris, is success is not some big thing. It's not some big thing. You don't wake up one day and just become successful. It's a culmination of small decisions, daily decisions made 1, after another, after another. And then it leads to this, you look back 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and you're like, wow, like I'm in a completely different place than I was then. And then in hindsight, you can look back at these forks in the road, like what if? So it was a fork in the road. I decided, okay, I'm 50,000 in debt. What's another 800 to get down there? So I shared a room. I prayed that my card would go through. Larry bought my dinner Friday night. He didn't realize how important that was to me. Card went through the next day. But I'm sitting in the back of that room, Chris, and this goes back to that principle. One thing can change your life. So I'm sitting in the back of the room in a company that was so big. I mean, they're doing $12-13 million a year. There's like 275 people at this thing. I'd never been around so many people who were happy. It was this feeling, but I had to, my gut, I'm like, how in the heck did I end up here? I'm 33 years old. I'm buried in debt. I'm not where I want to be in life. Like, where did I go so wrong to end up here? And is that one bad decision to buy that house at the wrong time going to haunt me the rest of my life? But then people got up on that stage and I saw Brian Delaney and a different Brian than we know today. Like his knees were wobbling. His voice was trembling. He was nervous, right? He wasn't this well-rounded, great leader that he is today. His team was doing about $50,000 to $70,000 a month. He was making $5,000 to $7,000 a month in passive income. He's making over $1 million now a year, right? And so he's up there and he's talking about the struggles he went through in the beginning, how the phone was hard for him and he had to overcome that, how the appointments were hard. He had to overcome that. But he talked about falling down and getting back up and falling down and getting back up. And he said, you can too if you just don't quit. And then Marshall Whalen and Edward Pritchett get on the stage. Top two agencies in the company. Marshall's doing $250,000 a month at the time. Edward's doing $350,000. So Marshall's making $25,000 a month in passive income. Edward $35,000. And I thought if I could just get a fraction of that, my life would be incredible. And the same thing, they're talking about the obstacles they had to overcome, the teams they had to rebuild, the in-home they had to get better at. Same story, different words. Basically, if you stick it out, you'll figure it out. So I was in the back of the room, man, on my notepad in real big letters. I'll never forget this, dude. I wrote, stick it out until you figure it out. Real big letters. I mean, it hit me, man. It hit me. I made a decision at that conference, one small decision. See, success is a culmination of small decisions. The first one was, why not us? And I made the decision to take my horse blinders off. The next decision was obviously to get my insurance license. The next one was to go to a conference. The next one was at that conference when I just decided to stick it out. So I came home from that conference and now I think about this, been in business 6 weeks. $250, $250, $250, $250, $250, $250, $1,500 in leads, no sales. But I was following most of the system. I was calling into the conference calls. I showed up to the meetings. I was checking in with my mentor. So finally, I sat down and I faced my fear of the phone. Mind you, I said face it. I didn't get over it. I was still petrified. And I started calling and I got a no and a no and a no and a no and a yes. And a no and a no and a yes. And a no and a yes. And this kept on all day Friday, all day Saturday until I looked up at the end of Saturday and 9 appointments booked. I went out that following week and made just over $5,000 in commission. Now I beat the odds. Typically you're not selling 5,000 with 9 appointments, but now it became real to me. Now it became real to me, man. And I got rewarded for following the 4 cornerstones. I still had to battle consistency, for that first 6 months in the business. I never owned a business. Just because you can take off Tuesday doesn't mean you should, right? So I made a lot of mistakes in this business in that first year. I learned a lot about myself. But man, 3 months in, I was able to quit my bartending gig. So I started part-time, guys and girls. So I was working, 2 jobs. I called this a part-time job, but I was giving it every ounce of free time I had. I was probably giving this more than my full-time job because I wanted desperately to get out of that thing. So Chris, that's kind of how I started this thing. And at every level of this business, there's a learning curve and there's growth. But what I will tell you, the only difference, like I'm looking at all these pretty faces, man, all these smiling faces and good looking people. And I promise each and every one of you, every single last one of you, there is nothing special about me. Nothing. 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 Like I was a bartender from Woodbridge, Virginia. That's it. That's it. We have people who sold ADT. We have window installers. We have car salesmen. We have mortgage loan officers. There's nothing special about me. Now, we've done some special things here. I've grown into a type of person that can help other people grow. I'm not discounting that. I'm not discounting the fact that we've been successful here and we've found success and we've helped a lot of other people do that. But what I'm telling you is the person I am today is not the person who joined Symmetry. I had the same heart, but I grew. And the way I grew was through overcoming these obstacles and struggles. The only difference between me and you is time and tenacity. That's it. Guys and girls, you can reach every dream you've ever imagined, more than you imagine. Because I promise when I started this company, I never, my vision, I couldn't think this. There's no way I could. When I was sitting in that first conference, remember, I said, if I could get a fraction of what those two people had on stage, my life would be incredible. I was not the type of person that could picture myself running a $350,000 agency because I had never owned a business before. I couldn't even make a sale. I couldn't even make a phone call. How could I picture myself making $350,000, in sales? But year by year, I grew. Day by day, I grew. Month by month, I grew. And last year, guys and girls, we had a team that did $13 million in annual premium. We protected over 12,000 families. You did, not me. You did. That's the size of the company I joined in 2013. That's what the company was doing. Our last team dinner, I think we had like 400 people at it. There was only 270 people at my first conference. A bartender from Woodbridge, Virginia, with no experience. That just put in the time and had some tenacity, some grit. So guys and girls, what I will tell you here, if this is the only thing you take away from today's call, and look at my eyes, I can't tell you this any more clear. Don't quit. It's not easy. There's no leader here will tell you it's easy. It's not easy. Why should it be though? Being a brain surgeon is not easy either, but they make pretty good money, right? This is not easy. It's worth it. And it does get easier, right? You're putting in 400, 500, 700, 1,000 dials. You can't book 2 appointments. That's not what your life's always going to look like. It's the beginning. It's the start. We all start at the start. You've got to learn how to do it, right? We all learned to walk and we fell down hundreds of times learning to walk. Hundreds. But you didn't quit. And if you did, you would never walk. You would never move. You'd have to rely on other people the rest of your life to push you around. But you keep doing it, right? You keep doing it until you get better. And it's the same thing with this business, guys and girls. So Chris, I just want to encourage everyone today to stick it out. That's the only difference. That is the only difference. Like the best quality you can have here is just don't be a quitter. Just quit quitting. And I was a quit. Like we all quit, right? We're used to quitting. We're used to going to jump from here to here. This doesn't work. It's not easy enough. Let me go try something else. Let me get like opportunity hoppers. Guys, anything in life worth having is uphill. John Maxwell taught us that at our conference, right? And if it's all uphill, if everything that I'm going to do in life that's going to give me some great reward is going to mean I have to go uphill, why not do something where at least you know that if you put in the work, that the result's really good? Right? You don't have to ask yourself, well, if I work really, really hard and I stick it out, is it possible to make $1 million a year? You don't have to ask yourself. Yes. I mean, people are doing it. You don't have to ask yourself that if I work really, really hard and book appointments, is it even possible to make sales? Absolutely. Look at the leaderboards, right? So just stick it out, guys and girls, and this can do some amazing things for you. So Chris, I apologize, man, but that's the one thing when I'm speaking, when I ever have a chance to speak life into somebody, it's like, that's it. We can teach you the rest, but I can't teach someone who's not here.
No, don't apologize, because that's what you're here for. I mean, this is what we need as a team, and you know, obviously when we titled this, it was about getting back to that building mindset, that building culture, because and we're going to kind of jump ahead a little bit in here in notes, but just to kind of summarize, I mean, you can go out and write a lot of business and make a lot of today money. But if you want to have a business, that takes time, that takes dedication, that takes a lot of, like we've been talking a lot lately on our team about the Slight Edge, that great book, and that flywheel example, man, just the amount of energy it takes to get that going. But once it gets going, it gets pretty amazing. And obviously you're a testament to that. And so, but my question is interesting though, because where you're at right now as a business, I mean, you built a massive 19 agency owners, a massive organization. So in reality, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's some things that could happen that could knock that business down, or take it back, or maybe even eventually collapse it. But it would take a lot. I mean, you're pretty set from a business standpoint. So why not hit cruise control at this point? I mean, you're doing good. I mean, you're a humble guy, so I'm not going to throw numbers out, but you're doing okay financially. Why not just coast and enjoy the ride from here on out?
Yeah, I love that question, man. A lot of it, there's a few parts to this. One is I feel almost a responsibility, to pay back people who have done so much for me in my life. Like, I feel like I owe it to Brandon, Brian, and Casey, to Marshall, to continue to help them build their businesses. And I think I owe it to people, to bartenders across this country, to people who are buried in debt across this country, to mortgage officers, to people who are unemployed right now, to give them a shot. Back to in 2014, I made a decision. I had built 2 teams to key leader, where we were doing 30 to 40,000 a month. And both of them fell apart. We had 4 to 5 writing agents. Both of them fell apart. I fell back down to a team of 1. And it's because I was hiring people for the wrong reasons. I was doing it for what it could do for me, the income it could get me, the title, the promotions, the money it could get me. And guys, and girls, all that is a byproduct of building this. Like, I want everyone to come in here and make a bunch of money. I talk a lot about impact now because I have a bunch of money, right? It's easy. I'm not naive. It's easy to say that, when you're set financially. But I always had a heart for people, right? And like, I want everyone to take care of your families and get to a point where you can focus on what really matters, and that's pouring into other people. So I after that happened, Chris, I had to do some soul searching, and I realized that, look, this company got me out of the rat race. So I just made that my mission. So now when I started recruiting people, I didn't want to build this thing for the 3rd time and have it fall apart. So I grew myself, and I started making it about other people. I started asking people when I would hire them, what do you want out of this? What can this company do for you? What can I do to help you? So that was my mission back then, to get people out of the rat race, and people started to stick. That's still my mission today. I was telling a recruiter of mine in my base shop, I did a 3-way phone call interview for her. And then when we got off the phone, I said, man, there is still nothing that I enjoy more in this company than doing an interview with a brand new agent that's joining this team. Because I know what's on the other side of hard work. And I know, and I can hear it in their voice, how, the desperation, how they want this bad. Now, I also know not everyone's going to come in and do it and put in the work. But Chris, so part of it, why I'm still building, and I went through, full transparency here. I went through phases, right? We built this thing up. We making more money than we could ever dream of, 7 figures a year in passive income. I'm like, oh, whoa, so 2020, I really stopped recruiting in my base shop in really for a few years. We had put in so much work. We went so wide. We had so many people building that I started managing momentum. I started calling, you, Chris, and pouring into you and Scott and my agency owners, thinking, right, acting like I was really making a big difference. And yes, those calls help, but you run your business, right? What I was trying to do is still stay excited about this business through the work that you were putting in. And I realized that my happiness, so much of like my happiness in life comes from the push, not the payoff. Like, think about that, guys. When are you most happy in life? When I mean, think about how many lottery winners win the lottery and then they're depressed because they have all the money. I went through that when I hit 110. Here I am pushing 2016, August 2016, we hit the top contract level of the company. 2 weeks, everyone's congratulating me. Everyone's so excited. Like, Jacob's this awesome. Back then, the company was small enough, and I was, I don't know, the 7th person to do it or something. And the owners flew me down, went out to lunch with them. Like, it was a circus. 2 weeks later, it wasn't. It wears off. No one's talking about you anymore. And I remember sitting in my office and I had this empty feeling inside. Here I am, hit the top contract level of the company. 2 weeks later, I have this empty feeling inside. The problem was I made it a destination. And the problem with that word destination is that there's some finality to that, right? Anything you make the destination, that's the end, right? You don't drive to a destination and keep going. You're there. You made it. Now what? So the problem with this destination mentality is there was nothing left to push for, or at least I thought so. So I just did some soul searching for a couple hours and said, wait a minute, this can't be the only reason you were getting out of bed in the morning. And it wasn't. And I realized, no, that yes, this was part of it. Yes, this is part of my happiness and my drive, but it wasn't the only thing. And I just refocused. I said, wait, no, you've been getting out of bed because you're making a difference in people's lives. You're making an impact in their lives. The next day, jumped out of bed excited, and I have been ever since August of 2016, because it's about how many people I can help do the same thing. How many of the people I made promises to. So, but I did. I took a couple years off of a building, and the team grew. We were growing. But I realized, man, I want to share this with people. I want to be an example for this team. And honestly, it always grows faster when I am, right? I eliminate excuses. Like, there's a reason we are humping it now. Now, humping it looks different for me. Like, I built a business where I get to take off at 6 every day because we're in a grind. It was 5. Now we're working to 6, grinding. But it's not all that bad. See, I built a business. I put in the work. I went through 2015 when I was on the phone from 8 in the morning until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And before I had an admin, I was answering emails to 2 o'clock in the morning. And I did that for like 10, 11 months. But we grew from 50,000 that January to 300,000 the next. And then life got a little easier. I was able to take off earlier and earlier. Now I love my schedule, man. I get to wake up at 6:30 in the morning, get in the word, and then do some personal development up until the point my kids get up at 8, play with them from 8 to 9, and the gym from 9 to 10, putting on calls on my schedule from 10 to about 4:30, from 4:30 to 6. I'm usually doing office stuff if I have to, answering calls from random calls that came in that weren't on my schedule. I love what I do. Like, I'm telling you, I love helping other people get profitable in this business. I leave my day more energized than when I started. So I guess your question of why I don't just sit back, why would I? Like, retirement is not an option for me. I've got two boys down there that are 2.5 years old. What example do I want to show them? That, hey guys, you work just hard enough to get what you want, and then you can take off the rest of your life. Work just hard enough to get a bunch of money, and then you don't have to do anything. What would we do? We get to do everything we want to do. We get to travel. I get to take off. I've never missed one of their doctor's appointments. We get to go to the park. We get to go on vacations. We get to do whatever we want. But the most important thing I think I can teach those two boys is what my dad taught me. And that's what hard work looks like. And that, you know what? We have these nice things. We're able to help these nice people because dad goes to work every day and he goes to help people. See, I don't think there's a better gift you can give anyone around you than the gift of showing them that we go to work for other people, right? We go to work for our family too. And I think that's a gift to show. So dude, there's so many people that need this, Chris. There's so many people that need it. And what a great business where I could share a great opportunity with someone, change their life. Dude, your life has changed. You know how many conversations I've had with you and got to talk to Ashley? You're making, I know you're a humble guy too, but $20,000 to $30,000 a month in income. And you've earned every penny of it. All these faces on this line, you've helped play a small, small role in their big, big life changes. You know, and what a great business where I can share this with you, watch your life change, and at the same time, mine changes. You can share it with a John Paul Vetter, watch him come in here, right? Come in here with knowledge and a track record of success, but finding something that puts a burning passion inside that guy. He is a man on fire, right? And just loves where he is and loves that not only he's part of something where he's growing himself, he gets to grow other people. Jeremiah Nolan coming in, working at a bank, didn't like it, didn't like the politics of it. Came in here part-time, said, I got to get $10,000 in the bank saved, and then I'm gonna quit that job. And I can't remember, maybe 6 months it took him, got $10,000 in the bank, came in here full-time, been able to adopt 2 children since then, right? And not just adopt them, like that's great, but been able to adopt them and spend time with him. Like I get to watch this thing change so many people's lives with time, with money, with happiness, with personal growth, because that's the thing with why I'm so happy is, look, I'm a different person today. I look at this world differently than when I was bartending. When I was bartending, it was full of negativity, full of backstabbing, full of politics, full of news, full of just negative stuff. I come into here, I surround myself with people who are happy, who are growing, who are working on themselves, who are making great money, who have my best intentions in mind. And then all of a sudden I start reading and growing and helping other people and having their best intentions in mind. Now I'm a different person who wakes up every day full of gratitude, full of happiness, full of passion and excitement. And I don't know how I could keep all those things going if I wasn't growing. See, success and happiness comes from the push, not the payoff. Happiness is not, you're never going to reach anywhere in this business that gives you sustained happiness. I've done it. Trust me, it doesn't work. It's not that next promotion. It's not that next title. It's not agency owner. It's not associate partner. It's not 120% contract. It's not equity partner. It's not advisory board member. None of those things will give you sustained happiness. They won't. They will make you happy. They will give you excitement, but those things wear off. Think about the last new car you bought. It was so exciting. You loved driving it. It was awesome. But now 2 years later, it's just a vehicle. Unless you're John Paul Vetter. He's got them nice Corvettes and we love those. So, but that's his passion, right? That's his hobby. So that would be a little different for him. But for most of us who use a car as a vehicle, the excitement wears off. And I'm sure even John Paul could buy his favorite car, but 5 years later, it doesn't feel the same as it did when he first got it. So guys and girls, I say it's time to get your mindset, right? One shift in mindset. If I could simply shift this thing from a destination mentality to a push mentality and a growth mentality, and if I could derive my happiness from the growth instead of where I'm going to be. Like, I'm not saying don't think about where you're going to be and don't push for it. It's fun. I love checking boxes off. Boom. Check it off. Key leader. Boom. Agency owner. Boom. Right? Agency. It's great. Like, it's part of this thing and it's so much fun. but it can't be the only thing, right? Like, because I've been there, guys and girls. Don't say, man, I can't wait till I get the agency on. It's going to be so awesome. It is going to be awesome. But you're going to wake up the next day and you're going to be thinking about the next promotion, right? So just I found a place, Chris, where I get excited about the mundane. When you really think about it, I get excited. Success here is boring. Marshall told me this years ago. He said, Jacob, buckle up. Success here is boring. I said, what do you mean it's boring? Like, I'm having the most fun I've ever had in my entire life with this company. What do you mean it's boring? He's like, no, trust me, it's boring. He said, we just do the same thing over and over again. It's like Groundhog Day. He said, you're going to interview a lot of people over and over. It's the same thing. All the successful people do the same thing. They go out, make enough money to pay their bills on their personal production, and they interview people. So he was very watering this thing down, right? But he's right. It's the same activity that I did years ago to start building. Exact same activity. Nothing's changed. We place an ad, someone responds, we do an interview. The exciting part is every single person I talk to is different. Every story and background is different, right? So I found a way to get excited and really enjoy the activity of sharing this thing. And if you can find excitement around that, you're going to build a great life, because here's the other side of it, Chris. The profitability of growing a base shop, that's where all your profit is in this business. You want to build leaders, right? Just like you've hired John Paul and Chris Menefee and Jeremiah Nolan. That's your stability. That's your stability in your business. Your profitability comes from all the other people that you're hiring in your base shop, right? The spreads are bigger and you're identifying new leadership. So that's what this company is. It's a leadership development company. We get paid for the more leaders we develop. If I only have one person on my team or one person direct to me, I can only develop one, right? So let's go find a bunch, man. But that's really my heart on this is, one, I feel the company that I owe it to the company, to Brandon, Brian, and Casey, why should I take off? Like why should I go retire when those guys are working just as hard, if not sometimes harder than a lot of us? I mean, I've been having calls with Mark Palmer. I mean, our chief strategist, Brandon, Brian, and Casey are on the phone sometimes till 9, 10 o'clock at night working on these things. You don't realize how many hours we put in as an advisory board working on the direction of this company. You don't realize their heart. Like, dude, I talked to Brandon for an hour Tuesday chatting about what's coming. Just some, and like their minds are constantly working on how to make this thing a better place for you guys and girls. And so they're working their tail off. Why not me, man? So, and I've never been more excited, man. I've never been, everyone, and let me just talk about that for a second. I say that all the time. Chris, you've known me for years now. You've heard it like every week for, I don't know. How long have you been here now? 5?
4.5 years.
4.5 years? Yeah. I mean, so this is like, you've heard me say that all the time. But guys, I am not, like, I'm a truthful person. I'm not here to BS you. How cool is that? How cool is that? I've been here 7.5 years and can continue to say I've never been more excited. And it's because the owners continue to find new ways to pump things into this business. And I'm back down. I'm on the factory floor. I had a conversation with Brian Pope. Chris, we'll get into, I know I want to teach some people how to create a culture. This is the last thing, and I had a lot of coffee this morning. So I had a call with Brian Pope last year, and I was telling him, man, I'm getting back at it. We're going to explode a base shop. I'm going to put the things in place. I'm going back to work. And he said, dude, I'm so happy to hear that. He said, it's going to do so much for your business. Watch your business explode, and not just your base shop. Watch what happens to everyone else with you being the example. He said, and Jacob, you've got to get on the factory floor. He said, you own a factory and you're sitting on the other side of town in your air-conditioned office and you're never walking on the factory floor, you're going to lose touch with your business. He said, you will. He said, it's getting back on the floor, doing the same things that the factory workers are doing, getting in there, getting dirty. And he said, man, it's going to help you so much. I'll tell you what happened. See,
I became a better mentor to you, to John Paul, to Jeremiah, because I'm doing the same things you're doing again. Like, yes, I recruited my tail off for years, and I understood that, but like getting back at it, actually doing it, and going through the same, man, I became a better mentor again, and I'm so excited because new blood's the lifeblood of your business. I'm so fired up that a couple of weeks ago we had the #1 new writer in symmetry in our base shop. Like, it's so exciting watching new people win, you know? And then what Brian said is right. We broke a record last week, broke a team record last week. We had the number, $360,000 of uncapped business, 325,000 cap, like everything's starting to grow. Everyone's excited. Talking to you about your excitement, you know, talking to John Paul and Jared, like we're all growing together instead of me managing momentum. Hey, keep it up, Chris. Great job. You're doing great. Great job, John Paul. You're doing great. No, man, we're arm in arm. We're doing this together. And I'm excited, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. And real quick, I just want to make sure I manage the call. Do you have a hard stop at the top of the hour, or if we went over a couple minutes? Are you good?
Yeah, we can run over a couple minutes.
Okay. I think we'll be able to wrap everything up, but I just want to make sure I'm mindful of the clock. So,
yeah, I've got a call with Marshall and Ryan. I just let them know I'm gonna be about 10 minutes late.
Okay. All right. Cool. I appreciate that. I really appreciate you speaking. And real quick, there's a couple things you said in that I don't want people to gloss over, because everybody comes in with this idea, the vision of being at the top, being successful. But there's a couple things that is overall, in just in success in general. I mean, because we live in, I've said, I don't know if I coined this phrase or I picked it up from somewhere else, but we live in a microwave society where you want to be able to throw it in a box, a button in 30 seconds, it comes out piping hot. I mean, we want it now. And the same thing happens from success. People want to come in and, they haven't hit, even just, if they haven't hit just a level of success in 90 days, they're or even 30 days. I mean, gosh, sometimes we have trouble getting people through the first week. They're tapping out. And, success, like you said, John Maxwell, I think, said it best, anything worthwhile is uphill. It's going to be hard. It's going to take time. There's a learning curve, unless you come in, even if you do come in from another company with some experience, I've noticed that's just as much of a learning curve, because we do business a little bit different. So you've got to step into this thing and just make the decision that, hey, it's going to take a little bit to figure it out, but I'm going to stick here, and I'm either going to power through the learning curve, or I'm just going to do more activity to overcome my lack of knowledge until I do figure it out. And that's a connection that's missed. I mean, I think too many people just, again, they want to have it now. And the other side of that is, when you do get there, I mean, again, it's got to be more about just the promotions, the money. I mean, there's got to be more to drive you. And what I love about this business is, whether it's the client interaction, whether it's the recruiting, the agent interaction, whether it's building a business, at every level of this business, you're having tremendous impact on other people in the world, in ways that it's hard to do in other business models, traditional business models. And, it's fun. Like you said, people think when I reach success, I'm just going to be sitting on the beach, sipping margaritas. And in reality, that success, the most successful people, if you watch them, they don't stop working. They just work a different way. They keep growing, they keep building, they keep plugging into their team and and keep setting new goals, new visions, but they don't give up on life. Too many times we see somebody retire in the classic, work till you're age 65, retire, and within 5 to 10 years they're dead.
Yep.
Because there's no purpose. And this is a beautiful business that you can go out, make today money, take care of today's needs, make tomorrow money by building a business, and then continue having success, continue that growth as you continue. I mean, even like you're talking about, you get to work from home, get to see your boys every day. As I'm doing this call right now, I'm in a side room and got the door closed, but I'm hearing paper slide in the door. My little girl keeps running by and giving me little gifts that she's creating. And so when I get done with this call, I'm going to have a pile of paper that, you know, I'm going to pick up as I walk out the door. So success, you know, the beautiful thing about this is the kind of success that you can create is not I get here and then I step out of production and, you know, just cruise out until I die. You know, this is a business that's going to give you purpose, not only for today, but for the rest of your life. You know, helping people, whether it be the clients or whether it be agents or, you know, or whether it be the company, helping people move forward in their lives, you know, and take care of their needs.
Yeah, and Chris, I wanted to add one other thing to that as well, because those are all great points. And again, Jacob, thank you so much, brother, for coming on the call and pouring into us, man. You know, nothing but love for you. I really appreciate and enjoy our conversations, you know, when we have a chance to connect, you know, directly. And certainly appreciate you being able to share that with the folks on our team at large. But to your point, Chris, you know, I think it's, you talk about the journey versus destination and what we can accomplish for ourselves, you know, and for our now immediate income, which is obviously everyone's primary concern, because you got bills to pay, right? You want to be able to eat and cover your bills and live. But to be in a position to put yourself in a place financially that you never dreamed or thought you could possibly be at, for yourself. But I think the part that goes overlooked sometimes, and maybe a lot of the new people on this call don't necessarily understand yet, because you are really, there's some people brand new literally on this call, is the opportunity for agency ownership, right? And when you own your agency, you know, and having that's money that, you know, your agency and those residual passive income streams flow through to your family in perpetuity. To something happened to any of us, you know, it would flow to my wife and my adult children and my grandchildren, and that's true legacy wealth. And I think that's something that folks you don't necessarily, sometimes people can't fathom that, but I mean, that's forever money. Let's be clear about that. And so I just want to make sure that the new folks on the call, sometimes it's hard to see, you know, what's, you know, so far in the distance when you're trying to focus on today. And I know on the national call a few weeks back, Jacob, when I was blessed to have an invitation to speak on the national call with Latanya James and Lee Jedlicka about a month ago or so. Lee Jedlicka, I think, shared something that I really I appreciated the analogy and the visual on that. You know, I think you where you're at now, you can only see so far of what's possible on the horizon, you know, but once you traverse that distance and get to that point, you can see further.
Yeah.
Because you can see beyond that point at that point, you know? And so that's the difference here. You might not be able to see that forever scenario just yet, but as you grow as a person and you grow in this journey and your success here, your perspectives are going to change, you know, and sometimes people coming into this business, you know, a lot of people, the sayings here, you know, commonly is that people come to Symmetry typically are either broke or broken, you know, and sometimes it's hard to see past, you know, the light bill due next Friday, right? But if you can buckle down and focus and commit to yourself and your forever, as much as you would go and punch somebody's damn clock and sit in traffic every day working for a job that will cut you loose so fast your head will spin, focus and do that for yourself. Build your own forever, because you literally can do that here. And that's the difference in this opportunity. And so I just wanted to chime in there with a little color commentary on that as well. Again, Jacob, thank you so much, brother, for jumping on the call. And Chris, thanks for giving me a couple minutes to chime in there.
I love it.
So Jacob, let's go straight to the meat and potatoes here, because again, I know you're short on time, but you built. Anytime you build an agency, you have an agency owner break out, you start over, you build another agency. I mean, that's when you start seeing multiple agency owners, you're building multiple businesses, and you learn something every time you go through that process. So you're going to be able to shortcut this process for a lot of people. Walk us through that.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, just to wrap up on what you said, John Paul, that's what I was alluding to before. You know, when Marshall and them were doing 350 from that stage, my vision wasn't even, I couldn't even vision that, right? But but we have done so many things now, and like as we moved along, we did so many things that I thought weren't even possible. That now my vision is nothing is impossible, right? So now with the team that's doing, you know, $1.2 million a month, I'm thinking about symmetry level, like $140 million a year. Like we did 13 million last year. Literally, we will be a $140 million company. I'm speaking that into existence because I know with people like you, we can do it. We just got to keep doing what we're getting ready to talk about. So here's the deal, guys and girls, everything great. That agency ownership that John Paul's talking about, you can go out and make great money on your own pen here. And I want you to do that. But Marshall Whalen gave me some of the best advice early on in this business. He said, Jacob, go out and make enough money to pay your bills and invest in your business. You don't have to be a top producer in this company. You don't have to strive to do that. He said, I wasn't. He said, you just go out and make enough money to pay your bills and to have a good recruiting budget. And he said, eventually your team is going to outweigh your expenses, right? Eventually you're going to have an army of people behind you. Guys and girls, we've been on top of the recruiting leaderboards for years, either myself or, you know, in my base shops, or our direct agency or other base shops. Like we have a recruiting culture on this team, and we can see people growing from it and getting profitable from it. So what I will tell you now, before we get into how I create that recruiting culture, Chris wanted me to talk a little bit about that. But the time is now. There has never been a better time to build a business with Symmetry. It is a gold rush. The owners have just all the fast start programs, the trips, the QMS. Like there's so much. This company is a magnet right now. And I know that there's people on the line that have said these words out of their mouth. Yes, I want to build a business. That's why you came here. That's why a lot of you came here. Yeah, I want to build a business, but I want to wait till I get this thing figured out. I want to wait till I get really good in the field and then I'll start. That's a flawed mentality. Trust me. I hired Rita Law back in January 2015. Here was a girl from Hong Kong. She had a PhD in psychology. Had a little accent. Didn't have a car when I hired her. She got one, and she asked, "What would you have done different?" I said, "I would have started building business right away." So she started, right, and she started because I was there to help her. She was afraid that, I can't start recruiting. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I don't know how to mentor our people. That's a natural reaction for you to come in here and say, I want to wait till I get this thing figured out. But the beautiful thing about Symmetry is you don't have to. Take advantage. Marshall gave me the same opportunity. I didn't take advantage of it. But you've got leaders on this line. Your mentor and Chris and Jeremiah and John Paul that want nothing more but to help you grow. Because when you grow, they grow. Use them. We've all talked, like they're all on board with this. They are ready to help the people that raise their hand today and say, I want to grow this thing. Will you help me? They're ready. They're on deck waiting. So if I'm you after this call, I'm texting them saying, I want to be first in line for your time. You've got these leaders. I'm telling you, listen, these leaders right now that I just mentioned are fired up and they're ready. They knew we were going to be doing this call. They knew that I was getting ready to hit this process that I go through, and they are ready to do this for you. They are ready to help you build your business. So the way that I've been able to, look, we have 13 writers in our base shop right now. We have like 8 recruiters. Think about that. That's a huge, that most agencies don't have that ratio. You might have 13 writers and maybe one recruiter, 2 people who are recruiting. So we have 13 writers and 8 of them are building a business. Why? How can I continue to do that? And look, this is not me having a huge ego. It's just is what it is. We've done this year after year after year. We know how to build a recruiting culture. Here's why. Here's the secret. Everyone's going to get the secret today. Do not forget this. Do not forget this. This is the secret to create a recruiting culture in your business. Okay. So when I hire somebody, I ask them on their interview, what excited you about this? Well, was it, the potential to make great money on your own pen or to go out and build a business? Anyone that tells me to build a business, I need to put a check mark in my brain. Okay, they want to build a business. So this is going to have me go on to the next step, which is explaining, like, most people, so I know the psychology. We know the psychology of people. Most people don't want to start now because of fear, right? They're afraid that I can't teach someone else this business. I don't know how to do an interview. I don't even know how to write an application. So my job is to take the fear away from them. So I just do that by having a conversation. I edify their thought process. Okay, that's one. I don't want to make them feel bad for thinking that way. I agree that most people think that way. So the conversation would sound something like this. Say I'm talking to Chris. Chris tells me he wants to build a business, but he wants to figure this thing out first. Hey, Chris, that makes perfect sense to me. In fact, most people come in here and say the exact same thing. Here's the beautiful thing about our system, though, Chris. You don't have to know anything about this business to start building a business. Here's why. We're here to support you. So let's say that you have a friend or family member or coworker that could desperately use this opportunity. You simply show them the same company over a video that you watched. And if they're interested, you would just put them on the phone with me. I would interview them, hire them, teach them, train them, and coach them. But they would be your agent. So you just put them you have them watch the overview like you watched. Then you put them on the phone with me, and I would interview them, hire them, teach them, coach them, and train them, but they would be your agent. When they go out and make sales, when you get your first promotion, when they go out and make sales, you would receive an override. And the cool thing is, Chris, their production counts as your production to help you move up the promotion guidelines. See, so the neat thing about this, I waited a year, Chris, to start building a business. I had the same mindset as you, like, I want to figure this out. Now, I've hired people since then who, realizing I wish I would have started earlier. When I hired Rita Law back in January 2015, here she was from Hong Kong, didn't have any insurance experience, was an introvert by nature. She started placing ads right away. I was doing the interviews, hiring, teaching, and training her people. 10 months later, Chris, she was out of the field with the 6-figure passive income. Like so we can put you in a position to help you really grow this thing fast if you would like to. No pressure. Obviously, you don't have to do that. I just want to let you know that if you do want to start building sooner and you want to kind of leverage me in this system for that, let me know and we can set up another call to talk that through. Learn that. Learn that. That is the secret to building a recruiting culture. I can't tell you how many people ask me over the year, how do you do it? How do you do it? How are you always the top recruiter? How do you get so many people recruiting? How are you always on the top of the leaderboard? Because I take the fear away from my people. Write this down. If you're going to tell someone that you're going to show up for them, you better show up for them. Right? That's the other thing I do, is I stay true to my word. And if I tell Jamie and Sarah in my base shop that, hey, you find people who are interested and I'll do the interview, put me on the phone with them. And they text me, hey, I got so-and-so that is ready to talk. And I treat that like a job instead of an opportunity, that's a problem, right? If I treat that like, oh, yeah, I'll do it next week. No. They went out and did what I asked. Now I need to find time in my schedule. I need to sacrifice some of my time for theirs. And that's what they call servant leadership, guys and girls. And that's what I do. That's what I do. I've got, they texted me this morning, got more interviews coming next week for them. Now, here's the key. I want to include them on those interviews. I want them to listening in to me doing interviews So I'm doing two birds with one stone. We're helping them build their team, and we're also teaching them how to do an interview, helping them. And then when I go to mentor their people and do a game plan session, I want them on that. So I'm game planning their agent, teaching them how to do a game plan. So that's how we create a recruiting culture. We also have a process, how we're getting these new writers, Chris. You know, you wanted me to talk about the process we follow as we're bringing new agents on. What, like, as far as the process goes, from the time they're contracted, is that where you want to kind of start?
I think so. There's something that you're doing, and we're going to implement this. So, might just talk about what you do with your call, like
Okay.
quick start call, and what you do to get people up and going as quickly as possible. Because again, we're going to pattern that, and so I want everybody to understand that they're going to have those same tools available in our agency.
So exciting.
Starting very quickly.
So exciting, man. And guys and girls, another thing here, what I would just say is, if you have a desire to build a business, like, we don't want you to build a business if you don't want to. That's not what this is. Like, don't. You can make a killing here on your personal pen. But if you do want to build a business and there's something inside you said, yeah, and you were kind of on that fence of the people I was just talking about, you were kind of waiting to get this thing figured out. If Rita Law waited till she became a consistent $20,000 a month producer, she would have never built a business. Ever. In fact, 2 months into her building a business, she said she was going to quit building a business so she could get better in the field. She had so much pipeline activity. I said, you'd be crazy to do that. 10 months later, she's out of the field with six-figure passive income. 4 years later, she sells her business and now may never have to work again in her life. So there's never really a right time to go out and be successful. There's never a right time to go out and grow. Like, oh, I'll go to the gym tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow. I'll start my diet tomorrow. I'll start reading that book tomorrow. I'll start working on my hobby tomorrow. I'll start recruiting tomorrow. The right time is now, especially now when Jeremiah, Chris, and John Paul and I, everyone's on the same page. Like, they are ready to put this plan in action. We talked about it. They're excited about it. They're ready to do 3-way interviews for you. They're ready to help you build your team. Leverage these rock stars and help them build your team. You can do warm market recruiting. They can help you get, like, today, they're looking for people to raise their hand after this call and say, yes, I want to use your time. Yes, I want to fill up your calendar. Yes, I want and then your only job is to put as many people on their calendar as possible, and they're ready to go to work for you. And if you've been here a while and you can do interviews, this is the same conversation you have for your people. So you're doing some of your people's interviews. You're getting your best people over to Chris and them to introduce them. So I would just encourage you, take advantage of this magnet right now, the momentum we have in this team right now, and let's get you a business built with them. We can create you a recruiting budget. Warm market doesn't cost any money. Everybody can do this. Here's what we do. We get a contract in. Now I have, let's call it 8 recruiters in my base shop recruiting. Plus we're recruiting agents direct to me. Every contract that's brought onto our team this week, every single person who sends a contract back this week, I get them on a call on Monday morning at 11 a.m. And it's kind of a welcome call. So I want to give them a chance to hear from me, right? They've heard from all these other recruiters. It gives me a chance to kind of edify my recruiters. So at the opening of that call, I simply say, all right, guys and girls, welcome to the team. I'm not going to go through the whole call. You're going to start doing this on your team. But I kind of welcome everyone to our team. I want to hear where they're calling in from, who hired them, are they licensed or unlicensed, and of course their name. Then I introduce myself, tell my quick journey here. I go over the success principles of this business. Integrity and honesty, plugging into your mentor and our training, conference calls, personal development, local and national training events, and massive action, constant correction. I tell them that that's what's required to win here. And I make sure that they're the people, that those things align with what they're looking for. Then I go over a fast start program. See, these are all mostly unlicensed people. So what we do is we create in our crew app, we create a separate private group and crew for all the people that are on this call. And I challenge them to anyone that can get through the licensing class by Sunday night at 11:59 Eastern. So it's Monday, every Monday. So by Sunday night at 11:59 Eastern, are going to earn a lead credit paid by me. Chris, did y'all figure out that yet, or what your lead credit's going to be and stuff?
Yeah, I think we're going to stay. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. We were going to stay around what Jeremiah, John Paul. Were we done the 200, 250, somewhere along there?
So yeah, between 200, 250, depending on what these guys come up with. Which by the way, like a huge thank you to them from you guys. Like make sure you thank them. That's coming out of their pocket for your people, right? To help you get your people through licensing class quicker. So they're going to roll out a fast start program. Any of the unlicensed agents that can send a picture of proof that they passed the final exam in Excel or whatever pre-licensing course they're in, and proof that they scheduled their test date, are going to earn a $200 to $250 lead credit when they go to buy their first lead order. Man, we've got people getting through licensing class quick. It's exciting, man. So we do that. And then we're making sure that we communicate people through the process. When they're in licensing class, we're texting them and encouraging them. We always set up a game plan session when they get their op credentials, the week they're going to buy leads. And we can do another call, Chris, and go through that game plan session, or we can just kind of have it written down. But we want to find out how much money they need to make, how much they want to make. We want to tell them, do the math and figure out exactly how much annual premium they need to write each month to hit their goals. And we just communicate. We get good at giving assignments and getting commitments. But the biggest thing that we wanted you to take away from this call is that every single one of you, starting today, has a huge opportunity to leverage these rock star leaders to build your business. So next year you can be, over the next 10 months, you can break out as an agency owner. You can create a legacy for your family. You can become an agency owner. You can take advantage of the ownership contract. You can start working yourself to become a leader in this business. You can start failing forward. You can reach all your dreams here if you're just willing to stretch yourself, to get a little bit uncomfortable. And guys, that's where all the good stuff happens. It might be a little uncomfortable for you thinking about building a business. That's exactly what you should lean into. I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have the luxury of Marshall doing my interviews because I passed on the opportunity. He told me when I started that I could do that he would help me. I'm a year into this business now. I already know the ins and outs of this business. He wasn't going to do the same deal that Chris, John, John Paul, and Jeremiah are going to do for you. So take advantage of it now. Being new here, there's no better time to build a business because you don't have to have all the answers. Hey, that's a great question. When you're on the phone with Chris, make sure you ask him. Rita Law was the queen of that. Her only job was to edify me and then pass them off. Edify me and pass them off. They would ask her questions. She would say, hey, that's a great question. Make sure you write that down. And Jacob's going to be the best one to answer that for you. Let's roll. This is the time to do it, guys and girls. I'm so fired up for you guys. Can't wait to see what this does for this team.
Awesome. Jacob, I know you've got another call to get to, so we want to let you jump off here, but I really appreciate you jumping on, sharing some fantastic information. And guys will be getting some detail out on exactly how this program is working moving forward. But again, thank you, Jacob. Send our apologies to Marshall and Ryan. Tell those guys hi, and thanks for allowing us to steal a little extra of your time.
Yeah, man. I'm so fired up for this team. Love you guys. Really appreciate everything you bring to the table. This team is such a big part of our overall team. You're making a difference, guys. Appreciate you. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up the call. Again, watch Crew for announcements coming out on the new program moving forward.
Awesome.
And don't wait for that announcement to come out. Get plugged in and start getting people in the pipeline. It's going to make it worth your while. I guarantee you. We're gonna put some great things together for you here. So, all right, guys, appreciate each and every one of you being on the call. Let's go out. Let's go get them.